Hey everyone, my name is Lena Turner and welcome to the Sleuthing Women's podcast. You may know me as the author of Cozy Mysteries under L.C. Turner and Clean Small Town Romance under Lena Turner. And I'd like to introduce my co-host, Carolyn Aspenson.
Hi, everybody. I'm Carolyn Aspenson. I write cozy mysteries, both traditional with no paranormal and then paranormal. I also write a paranormal women's fiction series and a crime thriller series as well.
Awesome. And then our guest of honor today is Carolyn Dean. Can you give us just a little background, Carolyn, on you and what you write?
I am, as they said, I'm the second Carolyn, and I write traditional cozy mysteries. I have 4 different series, 3 that are based in small towns in the US, and one of those is a 1920s series as well. And then I have a series with globetrotting international mysteries as well.
Ooh, that sounds fun. Are you a globe-trotting international sleuth yourself?
Well, I'd like to think I'm a sleuth, but if I get a chance to hop on a plane about anywhere, I will go. I love to travel. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to go to some of the places that are in my books. And so I can write about whatever interesting thing that I saw there, including one thing that actually was a mystery. So that was fun to be able to share with my readers.
Oh, that is fun. So what out of your series, what would you say is your favorite series?
Well, I love Ravenwood Cove, and it's because it's a completely personal series to me. Ravenwood Cove, I grew up in Oregon, and I spent a lot of time at the beach and love the Oregon coast. It's just gorgeous. And Ravenwood Cove is set in a small town that got bypassed by the freeway and is there on the coast. And I'm a very sentimental person, so I wound up putting things in Ravenwood that were important to me, even if they don't exist anymore. It's kind of my little memory box. The main character that I've had letters people write me and say, never kill this person off, is over 90 years old, and she's based on 2 different people that I have loved, and they're passed away now. But she's spunky and mouthy and into everybody's business. And I mean, that Ravenwood is special to me because it has everything from a car that I don't, my late husband's had a Chevy Impala Super Sport, great car, 64. I don't have it anymore, but does it live in Ravenwood? Yes, it's there. As well as some pets that have passed away. They're still there.
You keep them alive in your books. You keep everything alive.
I do. Yeah, is that creepy? I'm not sure if that's creepy.
No, it's not. It's not creepy.
Okay. All right. Just checking.
It's not creepy.
No, what would be creepy is if the hamster that escaped from my daughter's room last night started like crawling up on the bookshelf behind me or something.
No, we'll keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, we'll watch just in case. So I'm curious, how long have you been writing?
Well, I remember, and actually I put this in the back of my books, is I was in 3rd grade and came home, sat down my lunch pail and told Mom I was going to be an author.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I mean, I read early, I read voraciously. I loved my books. The people in them, the characters were almost real to me. And I thought, I'd like to tell stories too. I used to put myself to sleep telling stories. Drove my sister crazy who shared the room with me, but doing stories in my head, and that's how I would go to sleep, was these, I'm always the heroine, I'm always the queen, I'm always whatever. But I always wanted to tell those stories like that.
Yeah. And
share them with other people that maybe they wanted to be the queen or the heroine or something too. So
well, I do know when I first started writing, you were one of the authors I started reading right away. So I've been reading you since 2012, I think, is when I first took writing seriously and started writing a book. So started reading my competition.
We were competition, weren't we? And then we wound up being friends.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I love about being an author, is the people who write in the cozy mysteries. I mean, I've met the most amazing women and a couple men too that are writing cozies, and they're just, I don't know, you can sit down, have coffee with any of them and just enjoy a conversation.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I read you too, just so you know.
Oh boy, pressure.
Yeah.
I would say, so like my favorite series is the Ravenwood series as well. I think because I really enjoy the fixing up the house that she got, and just it was easy to like kind of envision. One of the things I think is nice about cozies is, even though yes, they're far-fetched and the towns cozies are set in, more murder happen. Like I would never want to live in one of those towns.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Like
What's wrong with that town?
But you can kind of
Definitely.
impose yourself in there in that, that quaint type of atmosphere. And you talked about how, it's kind of a memory box with different elements that you use. How much of you or people end up being in your characters?
A lot. Isn't that, I would love to think I'm as brave and as smart as my sleuthing ladies. I can't always say that's true. But a lot of the characters, I think that a lot of authors are observers. That if we're at the grocery store and there's this really interesting interaction going on, or this interesting looking person, somewhere in the back of our brain, we're probably filing that away thinking, where can I put that in a story? Because it's interesting to me, maybe it'll be interesting to somebody else. So I have different people that are loosely based on people in my life. Haven't done late husband, haven't done the second, I'm happily remarried, but I haven't done the husbands don't go in the book. But anybody else is pretty much fair game. And they know it. So
I say that I always, when I meet people and they find out I'm an author, I'm like, just know anything you do.
Yeah, it's cool.
So just watch yourself.
I haven't shared this with my readers yet, so this will be the first place and probably the last place I'll talk about it. But one of my favorite characters in the Ravenwood is, his name is Truman, and he is this nut, brilliant, funny, loving guy who has tattoos and wears a kilt and helps the little old ladies at the farmer's market. He's just good people. And he's based on a real person. He's a very dear friend of mine. The real Truman actually did pass away this year.
Oh.
And so it's been amazing to have that interact. I'm now writing happy endings for a Truman that doesn't exist in this world. And the fact that his family actually found my books and read about him and wrote me, the reaction was unbelievably moving to me.
Wow.
And
You're getting the tears going.
oh, I'm sorry, no crying, no crying.
No, I
allowed.
think it's wonderful.
If I can get through this conversation without crying, Carolyn, you got to suck it up, girl.
I'm trying.
But yeah, no, Truman is, this guy I trusted with my kids. He was a fabulous person in real life. And there's a lot, Truman, probably the most extreme where it's so close to what the real person was. But, the things that I admire in other people are also the things that annoy me. If you are, if I find out people who've smacked a woman around, oh, he's going to be the body. That's, somebody who's been horrible to children, they're going down. That's, my personality right there, because if the person is dead, usually they really, really deserved it. So,
it's your own personal justice outside of the law.
I think so. And Lena, you said something I'm going to address real quick. You talked about, all the people getting killed off and
Right.
why are people still there? And I was thinking of Murder, She Wrote. One of my favorite t-shirts is really silly, but it's got a picture of Angela Lansbury as the character, Mrs. Fletcher. And it says, I killed them all. The common denominator here is the sleuth.
Yep. Yeah.
Maybe one of these days I'm going to use that, if I'm really tired of a series and just wrap it up. And it's like, Brenda was, I'm sorry, but she was totally railroading people all the way. So don't be shocked if that shows up.
That would be funny.
Yeah.
So we're in a couple different groups together where we talk about writing life and motivation and different things to, help us improve our writing business. And you are very detail oriented and on top of helping everybody and setting things up. And it's
Gosh, I'm glad you think so.
It's amazing to me. I mean, it's amazing to me how easily you can just say, okay, we'll do this. And it's done. And I just wonder, because that's so smooth for you, what what about the writing process for you is the hardest part? You know, is it the marketing? Is it the writing? Is it the scheduling? Is
It's
it the
funny
dog?
because you're saying I'm detail oriented because I would have said the details.
Well, there are different kinds of details. Those are different details.
You know, I think everybody has their strengths as an author about what's easy for them. And for me, creating a book, the marketing ads still puzzle me terribly because I want to tell the story. To me is more important. But for me, it takes a while for me really to think through things. Some people can sit down and just, it's like they're just seeing the movie in their head and they're just writing, it comes out perfectly. And with me, it takes a while for me to figure out who the people are, because I tend to start with the characters. And if you're not going to have characters that are just little popsicle stick, you know, sort of two-dimensional people, you need to have more background about why they are the way they are. So with me, the beginning of the book where I'm doing an outline and I can tell you why they killed somebody or maybe some of the clues, but getting all of that together to be cohesive in the outline before I actually start expanding that and writing and talking about the day-to-day things that are going on, that outline takes me a long time. So I used to think, oh, so-and-so's writing so quickly and I that's amazing. And I want to be like her when I grow up. And it turned out my brain isn't really wired that way, that I have to chew on things and kind of think them through and think, if I want that depth in the book, I need to have that time. So I don't know, what is it for you guys? What is your, I get to ask you questions too. You didn't know that, did you?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, are we all thinking Jenna St. James when
Oh, Jen is amazing.
amazing person. You know, stand there and write 5,000 words, boom, and she has these beautiful outlines. It's like, you know, what WWJD, what would Jenna do? She'd write an outline.
What would Jenna do? I'm gonna get that bracelet.
Yeah, and then she still has like 20 hours in her day left to have fun and engage with her readers and do things with her. You know,
she takes cooking classes and
she's the full deal.
All kinds of stuff.
I know.
Fair.
And I bet she showers every single day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so do all of us, obviously.
Okay, we're not telling her that we're doing this podcast thing, right? Because, you know, she's going to go, hey, she's a friend of all of ours. For the people who are watching, we're dear friends with Jenna. We think she's
wonderful.
amazing.
Read her books. They're great.
Yes, read her books.
So what Carolyn had asked, what kind of our process is, and I'm kind of like Carolyn. I don't know, 10 years ago, I felt I had an easier time thinking. Now it does take me longer.
Wait for menopause.
Yeah, absolutely. Now it does take
me longer
to put the ideas down, but I have definitely learned that it is much better when I outline and plot things out than to fly by the seat of my pants, because I do, as painful as it might be, I do a lot less rewriting later. And that, in all joking aside, really comes from Jenna and watching what Jenna has shared with us, because we're all in a group with Jenna on her outlines and how she has 7,000 to 10,000 words in by the time her outline's done. She's that detailed. While mine aren't, definitely not close to that level, it really has helped me since I started doing that about 6 months ago, to sit and think and marinate and think before I actually start writing.
Yeah, she is very inspirational, and I don't know if my brain will ever be wired like that, but it definitely has. I think when you talk with other people who are creative, you can, you know, there's a lot of people talk about competition between artists or authors or whatever. And I love the fact that there's so many things in the author community that we raise each other up, that we make each other better, that we're reading each other's books, or we're, you know, we have a lot of the same people reading. All three of us have the same group of people, in a lot of cases, reading our books. You know, I love that it's we can talk about Jenna and love on her and the other people that we know who are in that community and mean it, because they inspire us.
Right. And they don't have to ever know.
It's a little secret.
Exactly. For me, the first book that I wrote it based on an incident that happened in my life. So it was a 9-month span. So I didn't need to outline. It was, you know, I was living it. I had just lived it. So I added some fiction into it and, you know, funnied it up because it was a sad situation. But So that was easy. It just, it just came out. The words just came out.
Mhm.
And then somebody died in the next book. And I thought, well, how am I doing this? What am I going to do? And I would kind of outline a little bit, but I hated the process because I write great books in the shower, and so by the time I get out of the shower, I forget what my book was. But I do, for my crime thrillers, I have an editor that wants me to outline and wants to go over my outlines. So the first time he said, okay, send me your outline, it was 2 paragraphs. And he said, okay, send me more. So by the end, we were 39 pages into an outline, and that made the book really easy to write. So I do write more of a detailed outline, and I have a format that I follow, like, what's the red herring? What's the, what happens to confuse the sleuth? Who does she throw under the bus, or he throw under the bus, the villain? So each chapter has specific goals to hit.
Yeah.
And I just started a new outline, got halfway through it and said, I got to write the book. So I may not get that outline finished. So
Sometimes the outline itself can inspire you in ways you didn't expect, doesn't it?
Yep, it does.
You
It
wake up
does.
and your character says, I want to go do this. And then you're chasing the character around.
Yep.
At least that's
Yeah, my character's never to me.
about
so.
editing. I had a couple of years ago, I was talking with Amanda Lee, who's an amazing writer, super prolific, and had asked for recommendation for editor. And she gave me a couple names, and she says, this one made me cry. But it was a great line, because having somebody who can actually go, do the crud sandwich, which is, you're really great at this. Oh my gosh, this is horrifying. I really appreciate you, who could do that kind of crud in the middle. Somebody who makes you cry actually makes you better.
Exactly. Yep.
I don't love criticism just as much as anybody, but I know it's so important to have somebody who can be honest.
It is. I have a friend who edits, and she got fired from a client because she was too harsh. And let me just tell you, and I'm not going to say her name here, but we all know her, and she is not even close to being harsh. Like, that's your job, is to try to make us better. And I know for a fact, because she edits for me, like, there's nothing she would ever say that would be condescending or snarky or anything but matter of fact.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, when you're an author, you do have to have a tough skin, both from editors, readers, and then we all have the greatest readers in the world, but not everyone likes our stuff. It is
Genuinely amazing people.
what it is. Yeah.
I think you're right that authors do have to have tough skin. But sometimes, especially if they're new authors, that book is their baby. They have taken, their heart and put it into it. So they think it's perfect. And then reality hits, and, with an editor, you go, oh, okay. So it can be a little, disheartening in the beginning, but it makes you
like
a better.
reading your reviews in the beginning.
Yeah.
The first time you get somebody going, oh my gosh, what was this? This person should never be near a typewriter again.
Yeah. If I get a poor review, I just laugh when I do read them. So, because you can't please everybody, but we do have a great base of cozy mystery readers that are very loyal, and they read 10 books a week, some of them. So the competition level really isn't competition, because we're all, they can't read enough. They just can't read enough. So, and we get better because they can't read enough, because we have to keep writing.
But that's one of the things I love about writing cozies. You brought up about how we've got these people who read so many. Is one of the things I read cozies, I think we're fans of cozies too, is the fact that there's a resolution and a happiness, and the characters are it's a world that's satisfying. There's a lot of really negative things in the news or in the world, and people can if you get too into that, it can be very depressing. It can be very taxing on your soul. And I love the fact some of the most amazing reader comments. If I have everybody 1-star me, and I just get these letters, these emails from people saying, this got me through a bad divorce, or this, I had 2 people write and say, it's got me through chemo. I mean, because I'm never gonna be the person who cures every illness or whatever, but if I can make somebody's life a little bit easier by writing about what happens in a cupcake shop, and they catch the bad guy who totally deserved it, and the sleuth gets a happy ending, which is what I would want to read too. I mean, I used to think of us, as being, it's not easy to write mysteries, but also there's a lot to be said for making people happy, for entertaining people these days. I know I'm on my soapbox there, but
yeah, it makes sense though. Even though in these towns, the murder per capita is off the chart, the part that we all identify with is the bakery and the flower shop and the bookstore, and that sense of community where everyone knows everyone else except whoever was the murderer. And a lot, cozy mystery readers that's the kind of environment you want to live in, where everybody knows your name and you can go.
I had somebody write and say, "Where's Ravenwood? I want to go visit." And she meant it. She was looking on a map for Ravenwood Cove. I'm like, "Oh, honey, I'm really sorry."
It's like they're reading a Hallmark movie. They're living inside of it, and you become friends with the
Hopefully
characters.
Hallmark's listening. I have books available for, if you want the rights, honey. Just saying.
That's funny.
Mama needs a bigger kitchen.
But that's what it is. And then they get, when you write a series, which you can't write a cozy mystery that's not a series, because your readers just get upset because they want more, so even if you try not to, but they get to know those characters and they become friends with them, and they love the quirky characters drinking the coffee, and the cute little stores in the town, and the animals, they love all that. They love
rooster that wakes them up at 4 a.m. outside the window because there's a fire in the back of the inn and somebody needs to know. And he's never going to the stew pot because that rooster's going to live forever.
Yeah.
I love the animals too.
They're the best part for me, especially if it's a paranormal, because they talk or they do whatever. So that's always kind of fun. See what animals do.
Me. We had the last book I wrote was, my husband and I now have been married 20 years. And so for an anniversary, we went down to Belize, which we'd never been there before. And we were on a little island and they had beach dogs. And so do you think, and I love animals, I have 3 dogs, I have a cat. And so do you think that a beach dog wound up in that book because they had an animal rescue there, an animal sanctuary, which also took care of the iguanas on the island? That was fun. But yeah, so the fact that what I can see, on a trip where we love this little beach dog and want to feed him, made sure it had things good, winds up in the book. Yeah. And I used to have a stupid rooster too. So
So when you were in Belize, did you happen to get a chance to play chicken poop bingo?
No, but I'm dying to know what it is. What is it?
So my friend and I went to Belize it was the year before the pandemic. So like in 2019, and we had dinner at this place, and next to the dinner place was a bar. And so they had a small cage with bingo squares.
Yeah.
2 chickens. And so you would bet on one or the other chicken, and then you would sit and watch as
you do what?
The bingo player would call out the bingo square, and you have to wait for the chicken to walk around and poop on the square. So
I knew it. It was going to be a poop story.
Yep, you bought corn or grain if you were buying into the pot.
And I missed that in my trip.
One of the chickens. So we sat there for like an hour because, of course, it takes a while to play this chicken poop bingo. It was hysterical. Like,
did you win?
No, did not win. There was tons of tourists. There was tons of locals. Like, apparently, this is not really just a tourist thing. It's a local, like tons of locals.
Wow.
Okay, so first of all, what do you win?
Like a free drink.
Okay, and then second of all, do chickens or roosters or whatever get constipated because you're going to be waiting a long time? I'm sorry, but that's the first thing that came to mind was, what if, there's a little backup there and you got to sit.
Considering I've raised chickens and had to clean up after chickens and had a chicken coop and a chicken out, they totally don't get constipated.
Yeah,
that's good.
My grandparents.
Not like you'd think.
That's where my mind goes.
Yeah. Well, I have something to look forward to the next time I go to Belize. Thanks, Lena.
You're welcome.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious.
You talked about having lived in the area of the country that Ravenwood Cove was set in, and I know now that you live in Texas. What other fun and exciting places in the US have you lived, if any?
Well, I was born in Tornado Alley. I was born in Kansas and went to college in Minnesota.
Oh, wow.
And but not so much lived in. I've traveled through a fair amount of it. I have family in Alaska, I have family in Hawaii. That's really, really difficult to go visit there.
But worth it.
Yeah, oh my gosh, how fun. So basically, yeah, Texas is a new adventure in the last 3 years. We moved to Texas about a week before the pandemic closed the world down.
Oh, wow.
So that was exciting. Moved here with a teenager who was super not thrilled to come with us. And to say, oh my gosh, it's going to be amazing. We're close to a lake and there's all these things to do. And we're going to be, checking it out. And there's parties and all this stuff. And, a week later. So it turned out though, I love where I live. The people are lovely. Summers are, the
Hot.
humidity can get to me. But I mean, the springs and the falls are, I don't know. I love Texas. It's been a great place. We moved from an organic mini farm in Washington State.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's why I can talk about chickens and turkeys and ducks and stuff like that. We had an orchard and a pasture and I miss that because I'm in a neighborhood now, but I love Texas. It's been, I think it's been good to have so much sunshine for my mood too. So there's that.
That makes a difference. That makes a big difference.
It really does, because the Pacific Northwest is amazing, but in the winter it's 4 hours. It's 4 months of gray drizzle.
Yeah.
And anybody who's watching this who's in, I love Oregon, Washington, but you're all nodding your heads.
Yeah, I live on the top of a mountain. So when it rains, I'm literally in the clouds and it rains here a lot. And so I had to buy one of those fake sunlights, that it looks like a little iPad, and that helps, but it does stay pretty gray. So I remember one time I finished a book, or I don't even think it was me. It might've been me, but somebody finished a book and we were on a message thread on Facebook, and you said, well, what are you going to do to celebrate? I never do anything to celebrate because I'm so over the book by then that, I just
make it go away.
Yeah. So what do you do? Are you relieved? Do you party? Do you drink a glass of wine, take a big bath, eat bonbons?
I should have known that question had come back because I'm so guilty of doing exactly what you do, Carolyn, because at the time it feels a lot for all the people out there who have given birth. So, okay, I know that's a melodramatic thing, but there's a point where you're like, I remember staying up after having my daughter and going, I can fold in half again. There's something about birthing it out of the world. Yes, it's melodramatic, but of having a little bit of rest for me, as soon as that thing is polished and uploaded and it's safe at Amazon, which is where I keep my books. Right now I'm not wide. I get myself a big old glass of red wine. I have a really nice deep soaking tub where people know if I'm in there to leave me alone. And, I'll just sit in there and marinate for a while. And usually it takes me a couple days of it sounds funny, but believe it or not, I'm an introvert. And with me, if I'm in a social situation after a while, you can tell an introvert because they go off somewhere by themselves to recharge. It doesn't mean they can't be social, but they need that recharge time. Where my husband, the extrovert's like, let's go. So with me, it's almost like I've been so talkative in the book that I need a recharge time too. So I'll take a couple days where I'll just do a whole lot of nothing. Maybe read a whole bunch of books, binge something on Netflix. I'd love to say that I tend to celebrate more with landmarks. I just hit publish. I have 2 other pen names that one that's not active, but I've hit the publish button now 60 times.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And so to me, that was a landmark. And so that was a nice dinner out and a really enjoyable evening.
So did you give yourself like a, like my mother got a watch on her 15-year anniversary at her job. Did you give yourself a present, or was it just, the nice dinner, which is wonderful, trust me.
I think I'm more, of a experience. Everybody has their love language. I think everyone has the gift language too. And for me, having a quiet dinner out, or somebody doing something to honor whatever's happened,
Mhm.
to me, that is kind of what hits my heart most.
Yeah.
So.
I just want food. I just, just feed me. That's all I need, food.
Somebody else to cook dinner and clean the kitchen. I have simple goals.
Yeah. I don't want much.
Yeah. Treat it like it's Mother's Day.
Mhm.
I think there's something to be said for that, because I don't think women especially celebrate their successes as much. We tend
No.
just, and I'm obviously generalizing, to be like, okay, that thing is done. Now I'm off to the next thing. And like you said, Carolyn, your mom got a watch or something at the 15-year mark. Maybe we should just, I'm not even saying as authors, but as women in general, do more celebrating of hitting important goals or important milestones for us, instead of always putting our celebrations kind of on the back burner because the spouse or the partner or the kids are always,
Or the dogs.
Yep, or the dogs.
Yeah, I know you've got doggies too.
Yeah, which is
Yeah,
actually,
I think you're right, Lena. I do.
so my next question is revolve around the animals. So I know all of us are animal lovers,
Mhm.
and I know, Carolyn, you've recently, within the last few months, adopted a new member into your family, if I'm remembering right. So tell us what animals you have in your house right now.
You talking to me, Carolyn?
Yes.
Okay. Actually, she's been with me for a while, but we live in a neighborhood that people tend to dump their animals here because there's a bunch of people that, just like me, love animals and such. So this was a surprise. I have a little backyard here, and I have two little dogs. I have a Shih Tzu Pekingese mix, and I have a Lhasa Apso. So little, hypoallergenic portable dogs. So what gets dumped in our neighborhood is a brindle female, had just had puppies recently. She's still lactating, pit bull. And so
they're the best dogs.
She's just the sweetest. And I know that there are some that are bred for fighting. I mean, I'm in Texas, it's an issue. I was scared of her at first, to be honest, because she's an unknown and she was a big dog. It took us 5 days to catch her because she was so scared of people. She was severely underweight. She was running from people. But I mean, if you go out on YouTube, you can actually find videos of puppies crying, and that's horrible, but I played it on my phone to get her to come close because she was looking for those puppies. And finally we had a neighborhood walkathon thing, and we were walking in the walkathon, and somebody spotted this female dog. My husband goes off at a dead run, taking off his belt as he goes, and caught her. And so
wow.
we took her back to, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's a pit bull. And I didn't have experience with them, really. You just hear things.
Mm-hmm.
And took her to the vet, and it turned out she was heartworm positive, which heartworm's a great big deal here in Texas. It's a very, very prevalent. And I know I talked to the vet who had worked at a shelter before that, and I said, okay, I thought we were just going to foster her, maybe get her healthy, and then find her home. And I said, okay, what are the odds? And she says, if she goes into shelter, they'll put her down because she's a pit bull with heartworm.
Mm-hmm.
That's 2 big strikes. So I wound up with a third dog, and it turned out she's the one I'm in love with. And she's my shadow. She is, if I get her a toy, it's just the best thing ever. I mean, this dog, we think she'd never been on, I'm totally talking about my dog too much here, but we think she'd never been on grass. She'd never been in a house. She had never had any care on her feet. She's been the most expensive dog I've ever had.
Yep.
But she's the best. She's completely devoted to us. We got charged by a Chihuahua in the neighborhood. That was fun. She's trained. Also, I've trained her, and she's very good on a leash. and such. And we had a Chihuahua that came off its property to charge my pit bull, and my pit bull's like, "Ooh, somebody to play with," and the owner's coming out and being very upset. And I was like, just be glad my dog, if my dog gets off the leash, your dog's going to lose.
Right.
Yeah.
Um,
So do you ever get to sit by yourself, or is there somebody sitting on your lap, or,
Not on the lap. And actually, the only reason they're not in here is because this is my office, and this is a screen behind me I have. But normally all three of them are hanging out on the sleeper sofa behind me, and the pit bull will be right here with the toy, wanting me to throw it 87,000 times while I'm on Zoom with people. So love her to pieces, but she's hanging out with daddy in the other room.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you have the same thing that you have. Got to get up to take care of the dog. Dog wants out. Dog wants something.
All day long.
Lovers.
I'm actually in my dining room today, and they're both down here, but they're sleeping. So
Wow.
knock on wood that, we don't get interrupted because I have to get up and let a dog out. So
Yeah, I have one behind me and one on the other side of my desk.
Yep.
There was a news article earlier this week where a lady got caught on camera driving her 13-year-old dog that she had her entire life and abandoning it across state lines because she didn't know what to do with it anymore. In her Tesla, mind you.
Okay.
could she not keep the dog, or was the dog sick?
13 years old.
According to one of the articles I read, she had to move or something and couldn't take the dog, and when the police questioned her, she just felt she had no other option. Like, just hearing you find this dog who had clearly been mistreated, just made me think of that article. It's like, what is wrong with people? And I know, cozy readers, I know you love pets, so I know you're as incensed as I am about like someone would do that. Like, there's plenty of other avenues than to dump it off
That's awful.
at the edge of like a state park or something like that. But someone got her on video, like taking the collar and stuff off and like driving away. But got her
And I can't stand to watch those videos because the dog is always so confused.
I know. I can't.
I can't
scroll. Yeah, I scroll whenever I see those, or I have to scroll.
Give me the happy ending where it's like,
Yep.
the dog's been gone for 2 years and reunited with its owner. I get those up on my feed a lot on YouTube. Because I'll look at that, it's like, oh, a happy ending. I love happy endings, whether it's books or whether it's dogs reunited with their owners who they got their dog stolen from them, whatever. Yeah, I'm a sucker for that.
Yeah, me too.
I agree. So I have a question about, I'm going to bring up Jenna again.
One of our favorite people.
Yeah, she's everybody's favorite people.
She is. If you don't like Jenna, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, exactly. She has that virtual reality thing where she puts that on and writes. And I don't think I could do that because I would be distracted by whatever my view is. But do you do anything special to, get your writing going, or do you just sit and do it? Do you have a ritual that you do?
I think for me, I've learned that having a consistent place to be is very important. I know my desk is set up exactly how I want. I know exactly where everything is. My ritual actually is because I have a terrible attention span. And I'm going to out myself here, but with me, it's really tempting when I'll hit something when I'm writing and I'll get stuck on it, or I can't quite figure out how to do it. It's really tempting for me to hop over to Facebook or YouTube or something like that. So part of my routine is I actually will block the internet from my computer so that I am basically turning it almost into a typewriter. And it sounds extreme. I have different levels of extreme. I can just block those websites, or I can block everything and just turn my computer into a typewriter effectively, because sometimes, like you said, just, I could see having a headset, but I'd have to have it. I don't know if that thing give me motion sickness. With me having the least amount of distractions on the internet are my big deal. I have all sorts of frou-frou and stuff on my walls and such like that. That's fine. But I wander around too much. And
Yeah,
then I
I
lose track of what I'm writing, which is super smart.
Yeah,
well, you do sprints.
anytime I get to a hard part, I like to do that too. Go to Facebook, go to Pinterest, go to Instagram.
Oh, Pinterest. Oh, Pinterest.
Such
Yeah.
a time suck.
Yeah, but they have such great stuff.
Yeah, they do. But then you get down the rabbit hole.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then an hour passes by and you go, oh, it was just 2:00.
Yeah,
So
Exactly.
And
And
I
that's
didn't get anything written.
That's the
Mhm.
reason I meet with other authors, and we support each other on Zoom a lot, because we do timed focus, what we call sprints of focusing and encouraging each other. Hey, if somebody got 200 words in half an hour and that was a tough patch for them, we cheer, because that's great. And we have somebody today who's she knows what she's writing. She's a very experienced writer. She's going to write 7,000 words. We cheer for her just the same. And it may be somebody who, like me, is like, I need 2 hours just to outline this and figure out where this, I'm halfway through the book and I don't know where the murder is a bad thing. So yeah, having those focused attention things, whether it's sprints or blocking the internet. I'd love to do something elegant, like I light a scented candle, and yeah, totally not me. I don't know. What about you guys?
I need to get back on the sprints because those are really helpful. And then I was out of town and now I got to get back on it. But I need that. I need someone like sitting there holding a gun to my head, being like, write the darn words. Like, get them
Oh,
done.
don't make me get my cattle prods, Lena. I can be really mean.
yeah, what I do is I sit down to write, and then Facebook happens or Instagram happens. And I never had Instagram on my computer until recently, or I'll get text messages. So I put my phone on do not disturb, and then have certain people are allowed to text in. I haven't quite got over the clicking on Facebook thing, but it'll take me all day to write 5,000 words because I'm up moving around. But when I focus, and I need to get it done like the 2 weeks before it has to go to the editor, when I'm in panic mode and I've only written 2 chapters, I can hunker down and get it done, and none of that other stuff happens. So for someone who's always been a planner and gets everything done in advance, I seem to wait until the last minute with my writing, and not the last minute, but close enough that I have to have that pressure to actually write. So
maybe that's part of your process. I think all 3 of us have taken some personality tests that I was talking about, the chewing through things is part of the way I'm wired. Maybe that going out and having a little bit of a break of happiness or whatever, or having that deadline of, oh my gosh, I've got to get this done, or there's going to be some sort of consequence. Everybody gets motivated different ways.
That's true.
I don't know, carrot or stick. I tend to be stick motivates me more.
Yes. Well, we're getting close to the end of our time. So I do have a burning question. What is your favorite book of all time you've ever read, ever in your life?
I'd love to say something philosophical like the Bible, but the one, okay, you can laugh. The one that I probably read the most was, I remember being a kid and my grandmother had this great house that had tons of storage under the eaves, and it was like a tunnel, and the kids could go back there and find the treasures that she had put away because she didn't need to see them. And she had all the Louisa May Alcott books. And it sounds goofy, but I have read Little Women. I mean, I can cite whole passages from that. My favorite author, actually, probably, again, weird. I love Octavia Butler and Ray Bradbury. I love science fiction. But the one that probably from the time I was little reading that book, I've read that several times. I don't know.
It's a hard question.
Book. I read a lot. So, I mean, I love Sharon K. Penman. I love, I love all sorts of books.
That's good. That's what,
me.
that's what makes you a better writer. So, reading.
Especially reading outside just one genre. Because I even read things that are, and I'm not a huge science fiction fan or like dystopian fan, but I still try once a year to read something in those genres.
Yeah, I read Donnelly McKenna, who's passed away now, but she was an indie author. And if you read any of her thrillers, they're just so well written. You know, I read When the Crawdads Sing. I mean, I read a fair amount. I don't know. And of course, I read my competition too.
Have you read
I
the
just
Spare?
read, go ahead.
Sorry. Have you read The Spare about Prince Harry?
No, because I won't give him any money.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't either. I was just curious.
No, you know, the soap opera that is the royal family. I don't know. I am a second generation American out of England.
theodiseaonline.com.
Sorry,
The
guys.
definition of family.
That's all right. Real life. See, we're unscripted people. Um, so, you know, and I can tell you where the family came from and all that stuff. And I still have relatives that, you know, fairly distant relatives there, but I don't know. I don't keep, I have opinions. I miss the Queen. Let's just say that she was awesome.
Agreed.
Yeah, I miss the Queen too. She was neat. I liked her. Very respected.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Carolyn, did you have any final questions for our other Carolyn?
I would like to know what you've got coming up, what's going to be releasing soon, what what you're working on to get out there.
Okay, so you guys will be the first to know. I actually put a question out to readers recently in our Sleuthing Women group about just kind of testing the waters and seeing about a new series about, should it be in Montana or Colorado? It's going to be a bookstore that a woman inherits. And
Ooh.
I already have the character fleshed out. I know a lot about her. I know a lot about why she's there. And I'm going to be doing a new series with the first 3 books. I already have the covers done and they're ready to go. I'm fleshing them out now for a Montana bookstore series.
Oh, wow. So you have to go to Montana then.
I love Montana. Well, and also my husband's still voting for Colorado, so we'll see if he wins or not. But because he's like, you know, we could go there and it's tax deductible because it's research. You know, he's a very practical guy.
So smart.
But I'm looking forward to this because, you know, haven't all of us that are real readers thought, wouldn't it be great to have a bookstore with a cat and, you know, in a little town, and you wind up finding about the crazy neighbor and the, you know, the ski resort and you know, your sister owns a ranch down the way because this character does. So yeah, that's going to be, I'm hoping to have that, the first one out by the end of the year.
Oh,
For
good.
Christmas. That's the
Good.
goal. And I'm just loving, I have the map of the town. I mean, I'm excited about it. And no, it doesn't have a name yet. If you guys have great names for something brilliant for my new series, I'm all ears. Go ahead and send me an email.
Right. Well, on that note, everyone that's watching this video or listening to the podcast, be thinking and send Carolyn all of your ideas. So where can people find you at, Carolyn Dean? We
Okay.
want to send you an email or find you on social media.
Well, the easiest way, probably a lot of people have Facebook. I'm on there as Carolyn L. Dean. There is a different author that has the name Carolyn Dean, but she writes about irritable bowel syndrome, and that's not me. So look for the L, people. That's, yeah, just want to be clear. So my website is carolyndeanbooks.com. And that one actually doesn't have the L. I don't know why.
All right. Well, I think we can all keep it straight. If you pull up Carolyn Dean on Facebook and it's not about cozy mystery and it's about
If it's about your innards, that's not me.
Well, at least you're not Jenna, because do you remember what Jenna's issue with I think it was a porn star or something
It
like that.
was.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So better a digestive problem than, you know.
Yeah, and I have reasons. Here's your 15-second fact about me. You know, I'm named after, my parents are both passed away, but my mom was Carol and my dad was Dean. So I didn't just pull it out of thin air. It actually, you know, it did have a purpose originally. So
Well, thank you for talking with us. It's been
you guys are
fun.
so fun.
It's been great.
All right.
Thanks for having me on.
Yep, have a wonderful day, and readers, you heard where to connect with Carolyn at, and keep reading the Cozy Mysteries. Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.